Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dimitri and this is Value Cars Australia, and today I am at Sutton's Homebush once again, who have given me this lovely Tank 300 for another extended test drive. You know, I've reviewed Cannon Ute X. I went full circle and I came back to try this Tank 300. So today we're driving in this Tank 300. First of all, we will talk about the blinkers, we will talk about the main digital instrument panel, we will talk about electronic lane keep assist system. Yes, how can we not? We will talk about lack of certain connectivity here, and that's where our sponsors will come in. And we will also talk about the interior space, specifically the boot area. I will specifically talk to you about that. Interested? Give me a like, subscribe if you haven't already. What are you waiting for? And let's go for a drive. All right, my friends, so we are driving in Tank 300. Once again, the visibility is amazing. Everything reminds me of Jeep Wrangler, my beloved Jeep Wrangler. And to me, that's a good thing. To me, Jeep Wrangler was maybe bulkier on the road, kind of not as aerodynamic as something else might be, but at the same time, it is how I like to drive. I like to feel bigger on the road. You know that that's part of what I enjoyed the most driving GWM Cannon Ute. Yeah, it's not the size of loading capacity that I needed. It's more of the it's more of how the car felt. And in this particular case, what I love about the Tank 300 is that it gives me that feeling. Again, I'm glad that I went for another test drive today. To kind of confirm for myself, did I feel actually the same in Tank 300 as I felt recently in Cannon Ute, in Cannon X Ute? And it does make me feel, again, great. It makes me feel super high on the road, really high, massive visibility, great amount of glass, great amount of squarish windows, which again is very much like has Jeep written all over it. Jeep written all over it. And as we know, as far as the reliability of Tank 300 is concerned, by now I think I've done enough of a research for myself by following the Russian channels, by going, you know, on a test drive with my wife. Now I'm going for another test drive. I do think that reliability does not leave any concerns for me, none at all. I think this car has seen enough of off-road on different channels, not on mine obviously, to give me confidence that it's built very, very solidly. When I was complaining about the blinkers being too, like, first of all on the other side, and second of all that you could kind of make them blink for too long and then you struggle of turning them off. Anyway, watch that video if you really want a long rant. Some of you said, Dimitri, all you need to do is touch it very, very briefly. Light touch during the turn and that's it. And then it will turn off automatically after 3 seconds of blinking. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm practicing it, kind of thing, and it's working. It's working for me. So I'm very, very happy about it to see, my friends. So thank you for your advice. Really, really appreciate it. Like, really, really helped me. The GWM Tank is using the same-ish looking electronics here in the infotainment screen, the safety and other kind of features, and electronic lane keep assist and other kind of things. It uses what looks to me like the same stuff. I actually think that it's tuned better. I feel like on the road that ELK system so far haven't had any issues. Front and center, we're looking at the steering wheel and looking at the instruments panel, main instruments panel. Main instruments panel offers us same software here, same theme, graphical theme that we can switch between in Haval H6 as well. After GWM Cannon X Ute, the one that has digital instrument cluster, this one still looks unnecessarily complex. I would have preferred just to see digital revs, massive digital number indicating what speed I'm going at, and pretty much like fuel gauges obviously, and that's about it. Here I see a whole bunch of things. Some of them are useful, such as the range remaining on the fuel, but the other things are completely unnecessary in my humble opinion. So I'm not a massive fan of this version of the digital panel, but I'll be able to live with it simply because I lived with a similar one in my Haval H6 and got used to it, right? Now, the steering wheel itself has buttons on it. They're basic. They don't look like anything particularly fancy. They have the usual sound controls, microphone, pick up the phone, hang up the phone, kind of start talking to Google Maps and whatnot. But in this particular case, again, while this particular model has the wireless charging, it still does not have wireless Android Auto. I will even give it credit, and without knowing and cross-checking the specs, I think it has wireless Carplay. But this, my friends, is exactly where the sponsor of our video is coming in. This video has been kindly sponsored by Car-Linked Systems wireless adapter. It is providing wireless connectivity to your Android Auto or Apple CarPlay of your car. Instead of wires, you just pair this little box and connect it once and leave it there somewhere there on the shelf of your car, whatever your car is, and then magically you will have wireless connectivity to your built-in system. I have reviewed this box in detail. I have really liked it so far. We've been using it, my wife and I, intermittently, depending on which car we are driving out of the two cars in the family, and we've been quite impressed so far. There has not been any issues with connectivity like we used to have with wired connection, where intermittently the maps were disconnecting and that kind of stuff. All of that has been solved with this little box right now, which we're big fans of. And on top of that, it's rather affordable, which is very, very good. Now, Car-Linked Systems have always also provided a very generous discount code for anyone who wants to purchase this product using my link. It's provided in the description of this video. Open the description, click the link, get a massive discount on, well, relatively massive discount, and thank you very much for your support. It drives really, really nicely, and maybe that's why I keep referring to it as a car as opposed to a truck or a vehicle, yeah, because I do think that it's, it's reasonably nice. Now, the bleep that you just heard was the ELK system activating. That's the electronic lane keep assist system I kept ranting on about. So it still is somewhere there. It activated once, but in my Haval, when it activates, it then starts pestering me with blings and bongs all the time, regardless of what I do, or seemingly regardless of what I do. And here it just blipped once, and now it's shut up, and let's hope it stays shut up. I didn't turn it off. And again, we're going to test the blinkers and going to do a bit of a turn. And this time you saw I very gently touched the blinker. It started blinking, and then it turned itself off automatically, which is nice enough. I just need to get used to it, yeah? And that's what I'm trying to do here. I like driving Tank 300 more and more the longer I drive it. I drove GWM Cannon Ute twice, and GWM Cannon X Ute was amazing, and I really, really liked it, but it was definitely feeling like more of a truck on the road than GWM Tank does, even though both these vehicles are heavy vehicles on a frame. They're both off-roaders, they're both, you know, and I know that GWM Tank, a lot of people are complaining that the stated, at least the carry and weight capacity, the loading capacity, is a lot lower than they would expect from a vehicle like this. I don't disagree with you necessarily, but for me, fortunately for me, it's absolutely beside the point, because I don't care. I don't have anything as massive as that to load up into the vehicle, so I'm actually okay with that. And maybe that is the reason why it drives much nicer on the road, like a car, yeah, like a very, very lifted car, rather than like a truck, like a tradey truck kind of stuff. And I think that is where, my friends, probably the biggest difference in that quality, in that slightly more urban sense of this vehicle. I think that that's where the biggest difference between the Cannon Ute and Tank 300 actually is for a day-to-day use. I actually think it's much more pleasant. It's much more pleasant to drive, yeah. And I know a lot of you told me that, but I have to come to this conclusion myself. I take your word and I take advice, but at the same time, you know how it is. You gotta experience things yourself. That's the warning system tells me to be careful when merging. Thank you very much, warning system. You're very smart, my friend, very smart. You know how I always talk about a thinner steering wheel in Haval vehicles, such as Jolion and such as H6, and I had to put a wrapping on it and all that kind of stuff, right? Tank has a different steering wheel, but it is still on a thin side. It's still on a thin side, I would say, yeah? But now that I drove a little bit longer in Tank, I actually think my hands are getting used to it. I actually enjoy it. It's a better steering wheel than the default steering wheel in my Haval H6 Lux, and the Jolion one's steering wheel is as well. So I actually quite enjoy this steering wheel. I might Like, I'm gonna dare and say to you, my friends, and that will also reward people who watch this video till the end, rather than those who just pop in and leave. I'm gonna say when I get this car, because now at this point in time, I think I'm getting it. I think I'm getting it. This is the point. You were there at the point when Dmitry came to the conclusion that he needs this car, right? When I get it, I don't think I'm gonna bother with this artificial wrapping of the steering wheel. I don't think I will. I think I'm gonna be with this steering wheel. I think it's fine. This is just a little walkabout around. I absolutely like what it looks like. As you know, it does look like an absolute shameless rip-off of Jeep Wrangler, mixed with probably the new American Ford Bronco, which unfortunately is not in Australia. I would have loved if they brought it into Australia, absolutely 100%, but they didn't, so it is their loss. Would I get this color? I think this is a lovely color, by the way, so before I give you my answer, I'll say I think it's a lovely color, but no, I would not get it in this color. I would get it either in black or in gray, because that's how it should be, in my opinion, in these kind of vehicles. Wait, what just happened? Why is Dmitry like this? Because my review and my test drive of Tank 300 has already finished, and I have realized something a little bit after, which is why I'm putting this slightly ugly, apologies, overlay over the pre-recorded footage. So here's what happened. During my test drive of Tank 300 and during what I was discovering as I went along, as I kind of went around the car and took a look at it and stuff like that, I could not for the life of me figure out how to fold down the rear seats, the row of rear seats, in order to make a flat bed surface for camping, or for example to even just load something up, some fridge or some flat packs from IKEA. You would expect from anything remotely resembling an SUV to be able to pack things, right? Like, I mean, what's up with that? I could not figure it out for myself. I was like ranting on to myself like, oh, surely I'm missing something, like what's going on, kind of stuff. Look, long story short, I am silly and I didn't see a very, very obvious kind of thing, which is ingenious if we think about it once I know how it works. There are these little hoops at the base of the seat that you pull on, and the cushion, the seat cushion of the seat comes up, and that allows plenty of space for the back of the seat to fold down. I would even say that this kind of way of folding the seats in Tank 300, it creates even a flatter surface than, let's say, if I just fold seats in some SUVs such as my Haval H6, the one I'm sitting in right now. There you go. So I was actually very impressed with how GWM did it in Tank 300, and the only real issue I see with it is a tiny one, but maybe it's worth acknowledging it, is that, as you can see here on this footage, when the seat, when the bottom cushion, so here is a seat, right? In order to fold this down, we have to lift this cushion up and then fold this down so it makes a flush surface with the rest of the boot, right? Well, when we lift this thing up, it takes up the space here. It takes up the space, so we fold down the back of the seat, but this space is taken up by that lifted cushion. That is the only problem, because normally if you look at, say, car camping videos and stuff like that, and you may not be into this at all, but I am, what I'm seeing in this particular case is that people put water jugs, I don't know, blankets, spare supplies, food, any other kind of stuff into that space between the front seat, between where I'm sitting right now, and the back seat over there. That's what people do, okay? Well, in Tank 300, in order to fold the back down, you can't do it. Basically, that space, that free space for your shoes, for your supplies, for your water jugs, for your electric things, like whatever else you want to do in your car, would be occupied by that foldable cushion. If that's of any interest to you, I take a mental note of it. I'm not a massive serious camper just yet, which is why it's not a showstopper for me. I'm not trying to pretend that it is, but it was worth acknowledging here, my friends. I'm gonna wrap up this video by thanking you, first of all, as always, for being supporters of this channel. Your viewership is support. Your likes are support of a higher level. Your subscribes are support of even a higher level. And that pinnacle of you who are subscribed and click the notification bell to be notified when the new video is released are top of the shelf, my friends. thank you very much for your support, tongue in cheek. I appreciate all of the positive comments, all positive support that you are offering me on this channel for a very long time by now. And I pay back by providing hopefully entertaining and educational content to you for over 2 years now. And I intend to keep going. And no doubt I'm going to talk to you more about whether or not I eventually decide to buy it. Who knows? Let's take a look at this later. Thanks for watching. Goodbye for now.